Our today's class, it is about the sources of Islamic law, and this topic is related to Islamiyat O levels. It is related to for both papers, paper 1 and paper 2. And we know that the compulsory question, it comes from this topic. Sources of Islamic law is related to both the papers, and as there are four sources of Islamic law. The first two are the primary sources, which are Quran and Hadith of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Quran or Hadith, Quran or Sunnah of the Prophet, peace be upon him. We can use these words in place of one another, Hadith or Sunnah. So there are two primary sources and there are two secondary sources. So first of all, in our today's class, we'll talk about the primary sources. We will first discuss the primary sources, which are Quran and Hadith of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. This question can come in paper 1 or even it can come in paper 2. And the compulsory question, question number 2 of paper 1 and paper 2 would be from this topic. So other than the revelation of Quran and the compilation of Quran in paper 1, this topic is also very much important. That how Quran is related to Hadith or how it is related with the other three sources of Islamic law. And in the same way, in paper 2, like the way Hadith of the Prophet, peace upon him, were compiled and the way the authenticity of Hadith was checked, it is also one of the important topic of our Islamiyat syllabus for O levels, and it is about that the way Quran and Hadith are linked together, or the way Hadith is linked with the other three sources of Islamic law. So today we are now going to discuss this topic, that how Quran and Hadith are linked together. What's the relationship between Quran and Hadith? So whenever you have such type of question that outline the relationship between the primary sources, okay, so the primary sources are Quran and Hadith, or outline the way Quran and Hadith are linked together. So for such type of question, what you have to do at first, give a brief introduction of what Quran is and what Hadith is. For this, you can start your answer by saying that both Quran and Hadith are the primary sources. Both are the primary sources. Okay, both Quran and Hadith are the primary sources. They support one another. They support one another. They never contradict. Rather, they support one another. Fine. So you have to mention that Quran is the primary source. It is the first source of the Islamic law, and it is the book of Allah Almighty. It is His words. These are the words of Allah Almighty that has been revealed to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And the basic purpose and the objective was to guide the human beings. It deals with all aspects of our life. All aspects of our life are discussed here in the Holy Quran. Okay, whether it is related to our religious responsibilities like beliefs and the pillars of Islam, or whether it is related to our social, economic, or legal aspect of our life. It deals with all aspects of our life, whether religious, social, economic, legal, political. Everything has been discussed in the Holy Quran. It's a complete source of guidance. But since we know that Quran, it just gives us the basic principles. It just gives us the basic commands, laws. It not gives us the details and the way these things are to be practiced. Hadith, which is the second source, okay, it is next to Quran, and it contains the sayings, actions, or the unspoken approval of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. So Hadith is next to Quran, although it is a primary source, but Hadith is the second. It is second to Quran. Okay, so this is how you have to give a brief introduction, that Hadith explains the Quranic verses. So Quran is a book which contains the most broad and general regulations containing the principles And Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, interpreted. And Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, explained these teachings to his companions. These teachings were explained, and it was his duty, since the Quran itself has commanded the Prophet, since Quran itself has commanded to obey Allah and obey the Messenger. Repeatedly, Quran has commanded Muslims to obey Allah and obey the Messenger. Along with that, Muslims, they have been commanded, take what the Prophet gives you, whatever he commands you, whatever he gives you, take whatever he gives you, and refrain from whatever he prohibits you. From whatever he prohibits, Muslims, they have to refrain themselves. They have to abstain themselves from such things. This is what Allah has commanded. The purpose and the objective that why the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, has been sent, it is to the basic purpose and objective is that so that the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, would explain, okay, and he would interpret what has been revealed and what has been given to them. And this has been mentioned in this verse of the Holy Quran, that we have sent down unto you this message so that you may explain what has been revealed to them, and so that they may have a thought, they may understand. Fine. So this is the purpose and this is the objective of sending down the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Okay, for the purpose is and the objective is to guide them, and so that the Prophet, peace be upon him, would explain these Quranic teachings and the verses to them. And Prophet, peace be upon him, explained, the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, explained these teachings to his followers through his verbal teachings and through his practical demonstration. Fine. So this is how Holy Prophet, peace upon him, explained these teachings to his followers, his companions, through his verbal teaching, through his practical demonstration. That was all about the basic introduction, that how you will start your answer. You will give a basic introduction that these are the primary sources, they will never contradict, rather they will support one another. Quran, it just gives the principles, it deals with all aspects of our life. Prophet has been sent to be obeyed, and the purpose of sending down the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, to interpret the Quranic verses and to explain these teachings to them. And the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, explained these teachings to the people through his verbal teachings and through his practice. This is the basic introduction that will come in the first paragraph of your answer. In the next paragraph, this is all what you can give as a reference in the first paragraph. Some of these verses could be quoted. Like, I leave with you two things. If you hold fast by them both, you will never be misguided. The Book of Allah and the Sunnah of the Prophet, peace be upon him. So you can quote some of these verses, or you can quote some of the hadiths of the Prophet, peace upon him, as a reference. One or two references could be quoted in the first paragraph. And also in the Holy Prophet, peace upon him, in his farewell pilgrimage, he said that I have left among you a thing which if you adhere to, if you will follow, you will never be misguided. You will never be misguided after this. What are these two things? These are the Book of Allah and what you get from me by questions. Whatever they asked from the Prophet, peace upon him, and they received the reply from him, and they received the guidance from him in the form of these Quran, these explanations, these are hadiths of the Prophet, peace be upon him. In the next paragraph, give some examples, at least two examples in the second paragraph. And in the second paragraph, you can give two examples from the matters which are related to the religious responsibility. The religious responsibility. To give two examples which are related to like prayer or fasting or Hajj or Zakat. Such examples, two examples from these pillars of Islam could be given. Like we can take an example that repeatedly Quran has commanded Muslims to be regular in their prayers, establish regular prayer. This verse has been and this command has been repeated again and again in the Holy Quran. Quran has commanded Muslims to perform these prayers, but it not explains the method of prayer. It not explains that the way these prayers are to be performed, number of rakat which are to be offered, and the things which are to be recited. Such details are not given in the Holy Quran. Holy Quran has left this matter for the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and Prophet, peace upon him, explained it since he was under the divine guidance. He received the guidance from Allah Almighty that the way these prayers are offered. And Holy Prophet, peace upon him, explained through his practice and through his verbal teaching that he said, pray as you have seen me praying. Okay, through this hadith, he explained, and through his practice, he explained, and he himself mentioned that pray as you have seen me praying. Okay, and in another hadith, he mentioned that there is no prayer without the recitation of Surah Fatiha. The prayer is not complete without the recitation of the opening chapter of the Holy Quran. So this is how he has explained in other ahadith that the way these prayers are to be performed. Along with the prayer, Quran has repeatedly commanded Muslims to uh, pay zakat and the obligatory charity. This has been mentioned repeatedly, and most of the time it's mentioned with prayer. But it not gives us the details that how much zakat is to be paid, what are the nisab of different commodities and different items, how much zakat is to be paid on different items, and how it is to be paid. And the Holy Prophet, peace upon him, explained it through his sayings and through his practice that he mentioned that no zakat is payable on property until a year passes over it. A year passes, okay, passes away on it. So this is how the Holy Prophet, peace upon him, explained the method and the way the zakat is to be practiced and it is to be given. Likewise, in the same way, he has explained that the way the pilgrimage is to be performed. Quran has just commanded Muslims that pilgrimage is an pilgrimage to the house of Allah is a duty man owes to Allah who can afford the journey. So it's Muslims, they have just been commanded to perform these prayers, to perform Hajj, but the way it is to be performed, it's not given. It's not explained in the Holy Quran. Okay, it not explains the method of Hajj, the things which are to be done. Okay, on which dates pilgrims they have to proceed where. So Holy Prophet, peace upon him, explained it through his practice. He himself performed Hajj and asked his companions to take your religious rites from me so that they would know that what are the basic rituals of Hajj. So from these three examples, select any two and bring it in the second paragraph of your answer. First paragraph was the introductory paragraph. Second paragraph, we added two examples from the religious matter. It could be prayer, it could be zakat, it could be the pilgrimage. Most of the students, they usually end their answer with these examples and they think that they will get level 4 marks, but this is not the case. Whenever you have such type of question about the relationship between Quran and Hadith and the way the primary sources are linked together, you also have to bring some examples from the social life of the Muslims. You also have to bring some examples from the economic matters, the legal matters. Such examples should be given also there in your answer in order to achieve level 4. Because without this, you would not be able to get level 4 marks. Okay, with these examples only, like prayer and zakat, and with all these references, you can maximum get 6 if you have not mentioned any example from social, economic, or legal matters. So you need to practice that how you have to improve the level of your answer. Fine. So give some examples, like Quran has given the details that the way the inheritance is to be distributed. Inheritance is something related to social aspect of the Muslim's life. Inheritance, marriage, divorce, and such things are related to the social aspect. Quran also gives us a detail, like we can have this example, that the division of inheritance is clearly described. Okay, there is a long verse, a detailed verse in the Holy Quran in Surah Nisa, okay, which talks about that how much share each person will get from the property, from the inheritance. But leaving the wealth for a non-Muslim, for the non-Muslim, relatives is not mentioned in the Quran. That whether a Muslim can inherit from a non-Muslim or a non-Muslim can inherit from a Muslim, it's not there. But the Prophet, peace upon him, explained it in his hadith. Okay, Holy Prophet has explained it in his hadith, and the hadith is there that a Muslim may not inherit from a non-Muslim. Okay, nor a non-Muslim inherit from a Muslim. So this hadith, it clearly mentions that a Muslim may not inherit from a non-Muslim, nor a non-Muslim may inherit from a Muslim. So it gives us the detail that they will not get any inheritance in this way. In the same way, Holy Prophet, peace upon him, has also assigned 1/6 of the inheritance for the grandmother. So 1/6 of the inheritance has been assigned to the grandmother if the deceased did not leave a mother. Okay, fine. Mother already died, but the grandmother is there. So the grandmother will get the share from the grandson's property. Okay, and 1/6 of the property would be received by the grandmother. So this is how it gives us the details, it further details which are not there in the Quran, but Hadith further explains it. So this is one example which is related to inheritance, and this example is related to the social aspect of the Muslim's life. Another example could be of marriage. Marriage, that Quran has given the details that with whom a person cannot marry. It has mentioned the relations. Holy Quran has mentioned some of the relations with whom a person cannot marry, but it not gives us. But furthermore, things and furthermore relations are explained by the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. The Quran has just mentioned that prohibited for you in marriage are your mothers, daughters, sisters, and so on. Quran has mentioned some of the relations. Okay, it has given us a list of the people with whom a person cannot marry. Fine, but sometimes, okay, some more prohibitions have been explained by the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. More prohibitions has been given by the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Holy Prophet, peace upon him, explained, and he has added more details. Okay, let's see the Quranic verse which tells us about the relations with whom a person cannot marry. Like what Quran says, forbidden to you for marriage are your mothers, your daughters, your sisters, your father's sisters, your mother's sisters, okay, your brother's daughters, your sister's daughters, and there is a list, a long list with whom a person cannot marry. And in the same way, Quran also mentions that two sisters in wedlock at the same time. A person cannot marry two sisters at the same time, two girls, two, okay, at the same time. So it gives us the detail that two sisters cannot be united in a marriage of a person at the same time. This combination is not allowed. Okay, according to this combination is not allowed. Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, has added more such combinations which are not allowed. Fine. Quran has not mentioned such relations which has been explained by the Prophet, peace upon him. Like see the last line of this slide, it says that Prophet, peace upon him, has added more prohibitions. Fine. But he said a woman and her paternal aunt cannot be united, nor a woman and her maternal aunt. A person cannot marry a woman along with her puppo or along with her khala. Okay, maternal aunt is khala and paternal aunt is puppo. So a woman and her paternal aunt cannot be united. And in the same way, a person cannot unite in marriage a woman and her maternal aunt. This combination, although it is not there in the words of the Quran, in the verse of the Holy Quran, but this prohibition is from where? It is from the hadith of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. So this is what I want to tell you, that hadith explains the Quranic verse. Hadith sometimes explains the Quranic verse. This is the relationship between Quran and hadith. What is the role and the purpose of hadith? Hadith either explains the Quranic verse. Fine. Like we have seen that Quran has just commanded to pray. It has commanded to pay zakat. Hadith explains that the way prayers are to be performed. Hadith explains that the way zakat is to be given. In the same way, Hadith sometimes add more things to the Quranic command. Further addition is given, okay, by the hadith of the Prophet Muhammad, peace upon him, like here, that here we have seen that Quran has given the list of the people with whom a person cannot marry. But furthermore addition has been given, and furthermore restrictions has been added by the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, in his hadith, that a person cannot unite in marriage a woman and her maternal or paternal aunt in the same at the same time. Okay, so these two examples were related to the which aspect of the Muslim's life? It was related to the social aspect. That we discussed the example of marriage and the inheritance. Fine. You can give more examples. You can bring examples from the economic matters. Like Quran has just commanded Muslims that Allah has allowed trading and He has forbidden interest, usury, riba. Riba is sood. Okay. Allah has allowed trading. It's a general command. But Hadith further restricts that not all the trades are allowed. The trade of wine, alcohol, and intoxicants is not allowed. So, from where we came to know about it? We came to know about from the Hadith of the Holy Prophet, peace upon him, that not all the trade is allowed. Quran has Quran has given a general instruction that Allah has allowed trading, but Hadith of the Holy Prophet, peace upon him, restricts the Quranic teaching that not all such type of business and trade is allowed. Holy Prophet, peace upon him, has made a restriction that the trade and the business of intoxicants, okay, wine and such type of intoxicants are not allowed. Quran has just commanded that Allah has allowed trading and He has forbidden interest. But Quran it not gives us the details that what business transactions are interest, which are riba. Hadith of the Prophet, peace upon him, explains that which business transactions are riba. Fine. So you have to give such type of examples in your answer also. So we have discussed how many examples. First of all, I mentioned that first of all you have to give a brief introduction that how Quran and Hadith are linked together. Give a brief introduction. Okay, that Quran is the book of Allah. It just gives the basic principles. Hadith explains these teachings since the Holy Prophet, peace upon him, has been sent for this purpose. Okay, you can quote some of the relevant references in the first paragraph. That what you have to mention, that Quran has commanded Muslims to obey Allah and obey the Messenger, and this is the purpose of sending down the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. In the second paragraph, give examples from the religious matter like prayer, zakat, hajj, that how Hadith of the Prophet, peace upon him, explains these Quranic commands. In the third paragraph, give examples from the social aspects of the Muslim's life like marriage, inheritance. That Quran has given the details that how the inheritance is to be distributed, but Holy Prophet, peace upon him, further explained it. He has given more details that the way it is to be practiced. Quran has commanded Muslims and it has given the list of the people with whom a person cannot marry. Hadith further added more such restrictions, more such relations with whom a person cannot marry. In the same way, we have another example of a legal matter that Quran has set some punishments for some crimes, for some sins. Quran has mentioned the punishment for a theft. It has given a punishment for the fornication. Okay, for the fornication, for the illegal sex, Quran has mentioned the punishment of 100 stripes. Such a person should be lashed with 100 lashes, 100 stripes. उसको 100 कोड़े मारे थे. But however, it is silent about adultery, that if the person is a married person, the punishment of 100 stripes is for the one who is not a married person. If an unmarried person committed an illegal sex, it is considered fornication. Okay, and Quran has mentioned the punishment, okay, for such crime with 100 stripes, with 100 lashes. However, it is silent about the adultery, that if the person is a married person and he commits illegal sex, then what would be the punishment? Hadith explains, okay, that is the hadith of Jabir bin Abdullah, okay, that is narrated by Hazrat Jabir bin Abdullah. that a man came to the Prophet Muhammad, peace upon him, and informed him that he had committed illegal intercourse, and he bore witness 4 times against himself. But the Holy Prophet, peace upon him, ordered him to be stoned to death. It is known as Rajam. Rajam, or stoning to death, is a punishment for adultery, since he was a married person. Fine. So this is how Hadith, it gives us more details. It further elaborates the Quranic command. In the same way, Quran has given the command that for thief, male or female, Quran has given a basic rule that cut off their hand. The punishment for the theft is the to cut off their hands. Okay. Hadith further explains that when and how the hands would be cut off. But Hadith tells us, Hadith, it mentions that hands would be cut off only if the amount of the stolen thing is equal or more than a quarter dirham. It was for that time when there was a time of dirham which were made of gold or silver. But nowadays, scholars, they have given their opinion that if hands would be cut off if the amount of the thing stolen is equal to nisab. We will later on discuss in detail that what is nisab of zakat. Just for the brief information, I can tell you that nisab is 7.5 tola of gold or 52.5 tola of silver. So if the amount of the thing stolen is equal to 52.5 tola of silver, then the hands would be cut off. So it has Hadith of the Prophet peace upon him has further given us the detail that when the hands would be cut off. Hands would not be cut off if that is a very that is an ordinary thing, okay, of less value. Hands would not be cut off in such condition. Fine. In the same way, the Holy Prophet peace upon him explained that the right hand from the wrist would be cut off for the theft. For the theft, the right hand from the wrist would be cut off. So I hope that you would have now an idea that how you would be writing the answer of the question that outline the relationship between Quran and Sunnah, or how the primary sources are linked with one another. So this is how we have started our answer with the introductory paragraph. Second paragraph, two examples from the religious matter, prayer, zakat, or hajj, any two. In the third paragraph, give example from the social aspects of the Muslim's life. You can give the example of marriage, from the inheritance. Even you can give the examples from the lawful and unlawful food. Fine. Quran has not given us the details at which foods are unlawful. Quran has just mentioned in Surah Al-Ma'idah that lawful for you are all four-footed animals, except which are recited to you. And Quran has mentioned, and it has that we can recite only few exceptions which are there in the Holy Quran. The Quran has just mentioned about the pig, swine, or the dead animal, or the animals which are slaughtered not on the name of Allah Almighty. Such animals are unlawful. But other prohibitions, that which animals are prohibited and forbidden, we can know about it from the hadith of the Prophet, peace be upon him. Well, the Prophet, peace upon him, has mentioned that all. Okay, Arham, I will ask the question from you also. The Prophet, peace upon him, mentioned that all the animals with fangs and all the birds with talons are unlawful. So this is how Holy Prophet explained it. And in the fourth paragraph, you can give one example from the economic matter. Like I talked about Allah has allowed trading and He has forbidden the interest, the usury. Okay, and you can give one more example from a legal matter, like you can talk about the fornication or adultery, or you can even give the example of the punishment for the theft also. So that is all about the outline of how to write the answer for the question about the relationship between Quran and Hadith of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him.